Hey everybody, welcome to Cocktails in the War Room. It is 8:30 and every night we meet right here on the Mistress Carrie Facebook page and go over the day, talk about what's going on, get connected, say hi to our friends, swap information, tell jokes about pandas having sex, whatever it is. We do it every night at 8:30 here in the room of my house that I call the War Room, where I store all of the artifacts that I've collected over the years from friends and family members and from my travels. Right off the bat, Drea says, this sangria is amazing. Obviously, you are talking about Fernandez's sangria, the recipe that I gave you a few days ago. My friend Fernandez that I met in Afghanistan, him and his lovely wife came up with this amazing recipe for sangria, and he has been making it for me and leaving it on my front steps or in my bushes. And the other night he told me that I could give you the recipe, and I gave it to you, and I am assuming that you made it and that you think it's delicious. What's up, Scott? Hey, Joe, down in North Carolina. Sammy, how are you? What's going on, Sandy? Joe says, feel free to bark at the moon. I know. Today is the super moon. It is the pink moon, and it is going to be the biggest moon of the year. And I was actually just looking at it before I turned the camera on. So at some point tonight, you're going to have to go out and check out the moon. Drea says, yes, I made it. It's delicious. It will not last long here. No, it will not. What's going on, Sean? How are you? I'm having a Moscow Mule because all of my Fernandez sangria is gone, which I'm very sad about. Ash says the moon is beautiful. What's going on, Erin? George! So yeah, tonight is the pink moon. It's the big moon outside. Today is also World Health Day, which is ironic that more than 95% of America is social distancing in their homes right now. Wednesday! And today is also National Beer Day. So if you are having a beer, there you go. Enjoy. What's up, Mickey? What's up, Erica? Bark at the moon. Maybe that's what Wednesday's doing right now. She's just barking out the front door. I don't know who she's barking at, but yeah, Rick says, I can hear Wednesday. Yeah, she's barking at somebody. Tonight is going to be a really nice night. Actually, I think when we get done talking tonight, I think I might just go and sit out on the back porch and just finish my cocktail and just sit in peace. Josh says, no beer, but I am smoking a doobie. Well, you go right on ahead. It's legal here in the Commonwealth. And I saw one protester holding a sign on the steps of the State House today, wondering why it is that pot stores are not essential. What's up, Jim? What's going on, Sam? Sorry, Sandy. One of the neighbors is saying that her dogs are hearing Wednesday bark out the door. And David says, bring Wednesday out to play. I have to be really careful when I bring Wednesday out, especially at night, because of the animals. Fisher cats, moose, bear, coyote, fox, porcupines. We got skunks. Jen reminded me. Yeah, there's a lot of stuff running around out in them there woods. And Wednesday is 16 pounds of ferocious pug, but she's not going to win any fight against anything bigger than maybe a chipmunk. And I would question the fight with the chipmunk, actually. What kind of beer, Ed wants to know? Any beer. It's National Beer Day. That's all you need to know. Probably the UPS man, Scott says. Is UPS still delivering at these hours? I don't know. Mary says, I bought the ingredients to Fernandez's sangria. Yes, enjoy. It's a red moon or something tonight, Nicholas says. Pink moon, actually, and it's going to be the biggest moon of the year. Carrie, what is the shirt? Eric wants to know. Eric, I busted out this glorious shirt from 1991 for you guys tonight, the Queensryche Empire Tour. I believe I saw the show at the Worcester Centrum. Badass. Love that album. No, I don't love it as much as Operation Mindcrime, but if you're going to follow up Operation Mindcrime, that's nearly impossible, and I think they did a pretty good job with Empire, so there you go. But 1991, so we're getting newer, although there's a bunch of them from the 80s. I found an old Dawkins shirt tonight that I almost wore, and then I pulled out the Queensryche one, and I was like, okay, that's the one I need. So Mark Bishop said he's enjoying a Sam Adams Summer Ale. So there you go. Kristen! So one of my oldest friends in the world, it's her birthday today. So if you guys would please all join me, because she's watching now, hunkered down with her family right now. So can you guys raise your glasses? Happy birthday, Kristen! Her and I have been friends for a really, really, really long time. As a matter of fact, we were both interns at AAF together 1,000 billion years ago. So happy birthday, Kristen. We went to college together. We've known each other forever. She made me wear an inappropriately low-cut shirt in her, dress in her wedding when I was one of her bridesmaids. And the photographer has very inappropriate photos of me walking up the stairs of the church to go into her wedding. And it was all boobs. And I'm sorry. To this day, to her and her husband, I'm sorry about the boobs. I tried to hide them, but that dress made it near impossible. So another sip for Kristen and her wedding and my boobs. So there you go. All right. Some news today. They are saying in New York that they could be starting to plateau. They're not really sure exactly what part of the curve or how far the plateau is going to go. But that's in New York. Experts, as far as Massachusetts go, the experts are expecting the third week of April for the Commonwealth to feel the full impact or to be at the apex of COVID-19. Here in Massachusetts. The CEO of Twitter, Jack Dorsey, is donating $1 billion with a B dollars towards the coronavirus outbreak for research testing and medical supplies and equipment, which is a significant amount of money. So $1 billion coming from the CEO of Twitter. Sad news, actually. The Hotel Buckminster, which is the hotel right in Kenmore Square, it's the curved one that's on the corner as you go up over the Mass Pike to Fenway Park. They had shut down because of the coronavirus. And they have announced that they are closing permanently. Now, I don't know what's going to become of the historic building. It's been a hotel since the late 1800s. That is prime real estate, and I'm hoping they protect the building because it's been there for so long. But they have announced that the Hotel Buckminster, which is where, if you remember, the first Red Sox World Series victory and also the first Patriots Super Bowl victory, when the crazy crowds gathered in Kenmore, the Hotel Buckminster was where all the cameras were. So if you remember that camera angle and that crazy riot footage that was there, that came from the roof of the Hotel Buckminster. So that's pretty sad that they have closed. I told you last night that I finished watching The Tiger King, and now Discovery is announcing a spinoff of Tiger King. It's going to be a show that is focused on Carol fucking Baskin's husband, Don, the one that went missing that people think was covered in sardine oil and fed to the tigers. Sorry if I spoiled it for you, but there's no way you've been able to get away from, even if you haven't watched Tiger King, you've seen all the memes. And if you've seen the memes, you basically have seen the show because everyone on the show is a freaking meme. But Discovery is going to have that spinoff show. There's also supposed to be one more episode of Tiger King that's supposed to be hitting Netflix, I guess, in the next couple of weeks. I don't know what is going to be in the show, but considering that they raided the crazy Zen guy with his harem, Doc. They raided his place in December of 2019. I'm sure there's lots going on. So there you go. Also, if you are in and around the city at night, even though there is a suggested curfew from 9 o'clock at night until 6 o'clock in the morning, all of the buildings in Boston are lighting themselves blue every night now. The old Hancock building, the bridges, the Zachem, I believe the Garden, they're all lighting themselves blue. And that is a tribute and a show of support for all of the healthcare workers at all of the hospitals. And I thought that was really cool too. So what's going on with you guys? Frank says, I didn't like Tiger King. I didn't like it either. I friggin' hated every person on that show. And I feel bad for the animals. I just want all those animals out of there. And I think that not only should that national law against owning cats, but I just have a problem with people owning dangerous exotic animals, like, at all. If my neighbors had friggin' tigers next door, I would be uncomfortable with that. And no disrespect to my neighbors, because I love them all, but, you know, you go out there one night, one too many glasses of Fernandez's sangria, you forget to lock the gate, next thing you know, Wednesday's getting eaten by a tiger. I got a problem with it. So she just looked at me from the other room. I don't know if she heard her name or that she was reacting to the notion that she was going to get eaten by a tiger. Brandon wants to know how I'm doing. I had a pretty good day today. Yesterday I told you that I built the squash tower. Today I built the pea tower. Actually, two of them. I bought these really cool metal archway things for the peas to grow up in the garden. One of my other Afghanistan buddies, Medeiros, his dad is Portuguese, from Portugal, and brought with him all of his magical gardening tips when he came to the United States. And every time I see Mr. Medeiros, I grill him for gardening tips. And Mr. Medeiros a few years ago told me that the reason why I was having no luck planting peas in my garden when other things were growing amazingly well was that I was planting them too late in the season. And he said, plant the seeds for my peas on April 1st every year. He's like, if you got to dig through the snow, dig through the snow. Put the peas in the ground April 1st. And I didn't get the peas in the ground until today because I was waiting for the arches and all of that stuff to come in. But I said, really, Mr. Medeiros, don't you think that's a little soon for me to be putting the peas in the ground? And he goes, listen, peas, they grow in England. It's cold and it's wet. So plant the peas when it feels like England. And he was right. The last 2 years, the peas grew so huge, they pulled over the arch thing that I had out there that I kind of built myself. And the peas, it was like Little Shop of Horrors out there. Audrey, too, was like wreaking havoc on my garden because the peas got so big. So this year, I busted out the money and bought the giant pea tower, and I put it up today. So if you're going to plant peas, plant them like right now. Get the seeds and put them in the ground right now because Mr. Medeiros said so, and he knows everything. Jeff wants to know, I may have asked you this, but is a Moscow Mule whiskey? Oh, hell no. Moscow Mule is vodka with ginger beer and lime juice, and get a real copper mug if you can get your hands on it. Not one of the ones that you get in the restaurants that look like copper on the outside and aren't real copper on the inside. Get the ones that are copper all the way through. It sounds ridiculous, but there's some kind of friggin' science to it. I'm not a chemist, but there's something to do with the way that the copper conducts and does something with the acid in the lime juice, and it makes the drink colder, and it actually changes the taste of the drink, and it's for real. So get a real copper mug if you're going to have a Moscow Mule. And I usually put 2 limes in it because I love limes. Somebody wants to know, are you starting the peas from seed? Yes. Get the, oh, damn it. Sorry, I just screwed up the comments there. Yeah, if you're going to plant peas, plant seeds and plant them right now. Mr. Medeiros said so. He has not steered me wrong. Every year they come up bigger than they did the year before. 2 years ago, it literally snowed like 3 days after I planted them, and they still grew, and they were huge and awesome. Jeremy says the tulips are already coming up out of the ground. Let's see. Annette says the copper is bad for you. You know what? We're quarantined because of a pandemic. I'm not going to stress about the copper right now. Is the copper really bad for you? I thought that it wasn't bad for you. I mean, we literally drink all the water in our houses from copper pipes. So we're really all fucked, I guess. There you go. Lou says, you're fuzzy and I'm sober. Am I fuzzy? I double checked the Wi-Fi. David said Mr. Medeiros is smart. He is smart. He knows what the hell he's talking about. I follow all of his gardening tips. That steered me wrong. But Mary says, I'm sober, but you're making me think I'm drunk. I'm not. What are you talking about? Why are you fuzzy? Why am I really fuzzy? You guys look perfectly good on my end. Wow, that's really weird. Richard said copper is fine, lead is bad. Kirk says no, the copper is okay. Wendy says, am I drunk or is she fuzzy? And I keep freezing too. I'm getting absolutely no hint that there is anything wrong here on my end. Is your internet okay? Yeah, I think so. Hold on. Now you guys got me. I just checked it. It's fine. You are out of focus. How about now? Is that better? Camera is blurry here. Better now, though. It just got better. You're fine. You know what I think it does when I move around? I think it starts focusing on the pictures on the wall behind me. So I have to keep tapping on my face to get it to refocus. I think that's what it is. So I apologize for it focusing on the posters back there. Much better now. Okay, we solved it. See? We're working together. We're solving problems. This coronavirus thing, we're going to fix that next. So how are you guys holding up today? I know that stop stealing your neighbor's Wi-Fi, David says. I'm not, damn it. They won't give me the password. Ricky says, we grew up drinking from a garden hose. Who cares? Exactly. Did you guys ever stop and think about the things that we did as kids that would pretty much be considered child abuse now? Riding around on bicycles and skateboards with no protective equipment, no seatbelts in the car, no tempered glass, sitting this close to the television, running around with scissors. I mean, and yet we're all locked in our houses because of a pandemic right now. So, Chris says, I need a freaking haircut. I know, right? Like, you're really going to start figuring out what your spouse looks like really quickly. The hair dye is going to start going away. The fake lashes are going to peel off. The nails are going. Dude's hair, they're going to start looking like gray Q-tips. If you're not shaving all of the time, you're really going to see how gray in the beard you are. I mean, the wheels are literally falling off the wagon. We're all going to walk out of our houses whenever this is over. They're going to recognize each other. Thankfully, I am locked in the house with copious amounts of purple hair dye. I think I'm good for about 1.5 years. So if it lasts longer than that, you might see my natural hair color. Otherwise, not a chance in hell. Sitting in the, oh, that's a really good one, Danielle. Sitting in the back of a pickup truck while we're driving around. Like, no seat, no helmet, no seat belts, says George. Yeah, that's like, it was totally normal. Now, our parents would get arrested. We used to sit in the back of the pickup truck on our way to Hampton Beach with like the dog and the lawn chairs and the coolers. Like, how did we all survive our childhoods? I don't even know. Never mind all of the crazy shit we were eating. And I don't know, but we did. We survived it. Kevin says, shaved my dome today. And Erica says, a lot of divorce is happening. Maybe not yet, but people, I guarantee you right now, maybe not any of us, but there are people right now in the house, in separate rooms, both of them communicating with divorce attorneys, and the other one doesn't know. It's going to happen. Literally, the stay-at-home order is going to get taken away, and they're going to just be like, you've been served. I'm out of here. Get me the fuck out of this house. Brendan says, eating glue in kindergarten. Remember the kid that ate paste? Like, everybody had somebody that ate paste in their classroom. Everybody. Everyone. Station wagon with the back door down. Yeah, remember those station wagons that had either folded down like a tailgate or it swung out into that giant door? But it was awesome at the drive-ins. We were talking about that last week, actually, on one of these videos, that drive-in movie theaters are having this resurgence because it's a way to safely social distance and go out and do something fun. So I'm hoping that you get a chance, or you get your kids to experience going to the drive-ins if you can find one around you, because I loved going to the drive-ins. I saw The Karate Kid the first time at the drive-ins. Actually, it was 2 movies, and it was The Karate Kid first, and then one of my favorite movies of all time was on after it, The Big Chill, which is a movie I absolutely love. And that's the first time I ever saw a boob in a movie, was Glenn Close on The Big Chill when she was crying in the shower. And I was like, oh, is that a boob on TV? Like on a movie screen? Holy crap. That's a good topic tonight. What's the first naked person you saw in a movie? Do you remember? I never even really thought of it until just now, that Glenn Close's boob is the first boob I saw in a movie. Why do I even know that? I don't know. I did read an article today that one porn company went out and spent a bunch of money and is FedExing all of their porn stars camera equipment so they can make movies in their own houses. The Rustic Drive-In in North Smithfield, Rhode Island. There you go. Let's see. Jared says, I did that in the back of my aunt's truck, holding the dog leashes so the dogs wouldn't jump out of the truck. Yeah. Dan says the drive-in in Mendon, is that still there? I think it is. Milford, New Hampshire has a drive-in. Saw Grease at the drive-in. I saw Grease at the movie theater and wanted to be Olivia Newton-John at the end of the movie, smoking the cigarette and the leather jacket. It's probably why I'm so screwed up now. So thanks, Mom. Chris says Bo Derek in 10. That's a good one. Rick says last drive-in I saw was Porky's 3, I think. Fantastic. Apollonia soaking in the waters of Lake Minnetonka in purple rain. Good one. Arnold in Terminator. Glenn Close in Fatal Attraction, Eric says. A lot of people talking about Glenn Close's boobs tonight on Facebook. Probably Friday the 13th. Then the second nude girls were Pink Floyd, The Wall. There you go. Let's see. Musquamacut Beach has a drive-in. The Old Revere drive-in. Kelly LeBrock was the first movie bush I saw. That comes from producer Mike from Afghanistan, of course. Leicester, Mass. is still open, but it was sad looking last summer, says Sheila. Mendon opens on May 8th. They need to get these drive-ins open now. Like, we're looking for shit to do. They need to open the drive-ins. Trisha says, I saw the first Star Wars at the Kingston Drive-In. So good. Weirs Beach has a drive-in still. Mendon's not open yet, Eric says. So there you go. So I want to... saw Jaws and Blazing Saddles, says Harry. What a good night at the drive-in. There is still one on 44 in Rainham, but it's in the woods. Let's see. Never saw a drive-in movie, says Roberto. Roberto, you got to go to the drive-ins, man. Find one. It's worth the wait. Pack up the car. It's so awesome. Drive-ins are a blast. You got to go. I take my kids every summer to the Mendon Drive-In, says Ashley. Jeff says Tri-Town Drive-In in Fitchburg. That's the one. Isn't it technically Lunenburg? But that's the one I used to go to when I was a kid. Revere had a drive-in? I guess so. 9.5 Weeks on HBO, says Eric, was probably the first naked people that he ever saw. I saw Jaws in Gardner. Gardner had one back in the day, says Jen. I don't remember the last drive-in movie. I was always in the back, says Diva. Who Framed Roger Rabbit was my first drive-in movie out in North Adams, and now it is a strip mall parking lot. That sucks. So I want to show you guys the War Room artifact for the night. And it's basically a Ziploc bag full of rocks, which if anybody just saw this Ziploc bag, you'd be like, what's the big deal? It's just a Ziploc bag full of rocks. But it is more than just rocks. So I will take out these pieces so you can get a good look at them. So the first bomb dropped in Iraq when the war started was a 2,000 pound, they called a bunker buster. And it was a 2,000 pound bomb that got dropped through the middle of one of Saddam Hussein's palaces. Saddam Hussein had a whole compound that was built, it were all palaces, built around a lake that was man-made in Baghdad. And he had different palaces built for different things. Saddam Hussein obviously had his own palace. He had a palace. His sons had palaces, Uday and Qusay. They had a palace that had all of these stone hearts in the balcony, and that was called the Perfume Palace. And that palace was built for all of the, like the prostitutes or the women that they would bring in from outside of the country, and they called it the Perfume Palace, and they kept them all there. He had a palace that was built just for his mother-in-law, talking about Saddam Hussein. And then Saddam Hussein, after the first Gulf War, built a palace in this complex. And by the way, every palace had a dock, and he used to have a boat, like a fancy like yacht kind of thing, that would sail from one palace to the next. And the first bomb that we dropped through the roof of a palace that Saddam Hussein built after the first Gulf War that was called the Victory over the Americas Palace. And he built this palace to tell the people of Iraq that he had in fact defeated the United States in the war in 91. And the palace was never finished before 9/11 happened, and then the war in Iraq started. And so we dropped the first bomb there, and I was given a tour of the ruins. There's actually a huge photo album of my Boston to Baghdad trip on this Facebook page that you can go and scroll through, and you will see a picture of me standing like this with my arms up in the air, and you can see light coming in from the roof. I was standing in the spot where the first bomb got dropped. And so after I finished the tour, I grabbed some of the marble pieces. So this is marble molding, and then this is the marble from the floor of the palace. And when I tell you, it's all the marble. Like the fact that anyone has a backsplash or a kitchen countertop or a bathroom shower that has marble in it after Saddam Hussein built this palace is unreal, because I have never in my life seen so much marble. And so I grabbed some pieces of it to bring home. So this is what the floors looked like in the Victory over the Americas Palace. And then this is what the molding looked like. And I just wanted to have some of those pieces. Now, I know that I've talked about my grandfather before, who was a radio operator in World War II and Korea. And he passed away to complications from Alzheimer's. And he was in the VA in Bedford. And when I landed at Logan, when I got home from Iraq in 2006, I was taken immediately to the VA to see my grandfather because I had been gone for almost 3 weeks, and my grandfather was gravely ill. And he was obviously suffering from advanced Alzheimer's. And the family was 100% convinced that my grandfather, even though he had Alzheimer's, knew where I was and that he refused to pass away until I got home. And so I went immediately to the VA, and they let me go in late because I had landed at Logan late at night. And then I went from the VA to my friend's wedding reception that I told you about earlier in another video. And I went and saw my grandfather, told him that I was home, told him that I was safe, and he passed away 36 hours later. And when we had the funeral services for him, I buried him with a piece of this marble because I thought he would have been so proud of my trip overseas, and just wanted him to have something from me and my trip overseas with our troops. I thought that would have made him proud. So I took a piece of that marble, and it's in his casket with him now. So that's why I wanted to show you guys this stuff. I had another piece of it, but that's obviously where it is. But this is the floor and then the molding from it. The complex was unbelievable. The guided tour that I got, I recorded it with members of the Army, took me through and kind of gave me the whole tour, and we walked through the whole thing. We actually took pictures where Dan Rather did that famous interview with Saddam Hussein during the first Gulf War, and then obviously it was all trashed and blown up and all of that. But there was a swimming pool there in that complex, and U.S. troops used to go in there and swim at I think it was Camp Slayer, they called it, or Slayer swimming pool. And I remember we took a picture in front of the sign because it said Slayer on it, and we were like, fuck yes, we're taking a picture in front of the Slayer sign. One of the other things they showed me in one of the other palaces was Saddam Hussein's indoor swimming pool. And he used to invite people over for like meetings, and he would drain his swimming pool. And this is how he used to execute people, or this is what I was told in the tour. He would then push them in the empty pool and shoot them in the head, and then pour acid on them so that it would dissolve their body and go down the drain, and then he would fill the pool back up and swim in there. And so when I took that tour, the pool was empty, and there was still remains on the wall of the pool after someone had been executed, but the pool hadn't been filled back up again. Actually, you know what? Hold on. I believe I have, for anybody that doesn't have access to those photo galleries, I have my photo album right here because I keep it in the drawer in the war room with those rocks. So let me see if I can find the picture that I'm talking about of the see if I can find. All right, here it is right here. That's the swimming pool, and that right there is the human remains that I'm talking about. I didn't believe it, but it's true. That was the swimming pool that he used to execute people in. This is the picture. This is the press room where Dan Rather... He did the interview before the start of the Iraq War in 2003. It wasn't the first Iraq War. It was the more recent Iraq War. But we took a picture in there. And then if I can find the picture of the... let's see. No, you know what? I totally lied to you. The second bomb they dropped was the victory over the America's Palace. The first bomb they dropped was in the briefing room of Bath Party headquarters, and that is this right here. Sorry, it's been 14 years. I'm a little fuzzy. But I'm trying to find... All right, so this right here is the Perfume Palace. And if you look really close, you can see the hearts in the balcony. And that was where all of their consorts used to go. They had their own palace. And then the other weird thing, and a lot of people that were deployed in Iraq will know, see this place right here? It looks like the Flintstones. Saddam Hussein built a life-size bedrock after the cartoon for his grandchildren to play in. And that was in this whole complex that was connected by that giant lake. And then this is the picture I was telling you about. Oh, God. That's me standing in the crater of the victory over the America's Palace. That's where the marble came from. But that's the second bomb. The first bomb was Bath Party headquarters. So if you caught me on that and I didn't see that in the comments, I apologize. This is a better picture of what all the marble looked like. Look at that. It was just crazy. All of that white trim is this stuff right here. Let me see if I can find the Slayer sign, because somebody said, hey, where's the Slayer sign? So let me see if I can find it, because I know that we took a picture of it. But all of these pictures are up. There's a Boston to Baghdad photo album. On this Facebook page. Aha, here it is. Right there, Camp Slayer. I knew it was in there. And that was Combat Joe, we called him, my producer from Iraq. So there you go. So that's what I wanted to show you guys tonight, was the marble. I can't believe I screwed up the first bomb. Bath Party headquarters. I got to remember that. Memory's a little bit fuzzy. It's been a little while. So anyway, I thought you'd think that was really cool. I'll put it... My hands are like all dusty and... Ugh. God only knows what kind of toxins are all in there. Lisa, I'm glad you appreciate the long-winded stories and the props. Ugh. I got Baghdad dust all over my bartending book. Speaking of that, let's go over our drink recipe for the night. I picked out one that I thought you would think was funny. This one is called Yellow Fever. I figured if you're locked in the house during a plague, then we should have a drink named after one too. Yellow Fever is 2 ounces of vodka, 2/3 of an ounce of Galliano, 2/3 of an ounce of fresh lime juice, and an ounce of pineapple juice. Shake the ingredients and strain it into a cocktail glass and serve. That's called a Yellow Fever. Let's see. How thick is the marble? It's like an inch thick. It's heavy as hell. And it was everywhere. I mean, tons and tons and tons of marble. I was awestruck when we walked in there. And I remember the guys laughing at me because I was like, can you guys save all this marble and bring it home? And they laughed at the notion, but I was like, you could do everyone's kitchens over. And who wouldn't want countertops that came out of one of Saddam Hussein's palaces? Seriously. I mean, I'm psyched that I just have chunks of it in a Ziploc bag. But the slabs were huge. I can't imagine what it costs to get that much marble. I don't know where it came from. But it was ridiculous. I've never in my life seen anything like it. And on one hand, I felt really bad that we dropped a bomb in the middle of it. But obviously I didn't feel bad. But it was just like, oh my God, this place must have been really beautiful. And we blew it the hell up. And then it's like, but we blew it the hell up. Let's see. Can we really call Corona a drink? Well, I mean, technically Corona is a drink, but no, well, it's yellow fever. That was the name of that drink. There isn't a coronavirus cocktail as far as I know. Although there were people that were making the Corona teenies or the COVID teenies, and it was, what was it? Emergency and vodka. They were dropping one of those emergency tablets in a martini glass of vodka, and they were calling it like a Corona teeny or something like that. Heidi wants to know, do you remember Whalen Park in Lunenburg? Hell yeah, I do. I used to go there all the time. Let's see. How did you get that stuff through customs, Lou wants to know. The pieces of marble, the rocks and stuff I brought back? They didn't ask. I mean, the sword and some of the other stuff that I brought back, I had military orders, and when I got back to Boston, I hope I don't get anybody in trouble, but the guys were like, "What's up, Mistress Carrie? You're home from Afghanistan. Welcome back. Glad to see ya." I mean, I wasn't smuggling heroin or anything, but let's see. Drea wants to say, if Fernandez agrees, we should call his sangria the Corongria. Oh my God. You guys are brutal and obsessed with Fernandez's sangria. And if you haven't made it yet, make it and then let me know how you like it. Jan says, if we can survive that old wooden roller coaster at Whalen Park, we can survive anything. Fact. Marino says you should have grabbed an AK-47. I'm fairly certain that would have gotten stopped somewhere along the line, if not in Iraq. And well, technically, I flew out of Kuwait. Flew into Baghdad International Airport. All right, do we have time for another story? I'll tell you one more story because this is for anybody that is a veteran or still in the military. This story is going to make you roll your eyes and think I'm a total idiot, and then you're going to probably piss your pants laughing. So when I went to Afghanistan, I flew in and out of Kabul International Airport from Boston. I told you that before. I flew from Boston, or Mike and I flew from Boston to London, London to Bahrain, Bahrain to Kabul. When Joe and I went to Iraq, we flew from Boston to London, London to Kuwait City, and then half of the Kuwaiti airport is civilian. So like imagine if Logan Airport were cut in half. Half of it was Logan Airport and the other half was a military base. That's what the Kuwait airport is like. And so we were told, go to Kuwait, go through customs, go through immigration. The U.S. military members were going to be waiting for us once we got through customs and immigration, but they weren't going to be wearing uniforms, and they were going to take us from the civilian side of the airport to the other side of the airport, and that's where we were going to meet up with the Blackhawks, and they were going to fly us to where we needed to go. So we flew into the Kuwait International Airport. They called it Kia. And then they drove us. It was almost 140 degrees when we landed. It was ridiculous. It was like you were baking brownies outside. They flew us over. We met up with a bunch of the 126 aviation guys that were from Massachusetts. And they flew us from Kuwait to Kuwait Airport to Camp Buehring, which was a base in Kuwait where they wanted us to acclimate to the temperature and the time change. And then the next day, they flew us from Camp Buehring to, I believe it was Ali Al Salim, which was an Air Force base right on the border of Iraq. And from there, we were sent with the Air Force, and they were going to fly us in a plane from Ali Al Salim on the border into Baghdad, which was in the middle of the green zone. And flying into Baghdad during the day, they had to do what's called a combat landing. So, like, imagine this pillow is the green zone, right? You can't come in and make a gradual landing over the green zone because you don't control the area around the pillow. To the military people, I apologize that I'm talking military strategy with the friggin' pillow in my war room, but I needed a visual. So the way that you would land in the green zone was you would fly over it and then do what was they call a combat landing and dive straight down and land so that you couldn't take fire from outside the perimeter of the green zone. So they flew us in a plane that they used to fly a general around, and it was just me and Joe and all of our bags. Because we flew over, I'm trying to find a picture of this plane so that you guys understand, like, we were pimping, okay? Let's see. I need visuals here. So these were the guys that flew us to Ali Al Salim from Camp Buring. Those are the 126 Aviation guys. And then this right there is the plane we flew into Baghdad in. Look at that. That's the jet, the general's jet. And the picture underneath it are the pilots that flew us, the Air Force pilots right there. So it was just Joe and I. Actually, this picture right here, making the devil horns, that's Joe and I in the general's plane. It's ridiculous. See right there? So anyway, we land in Baghdad after we do a combat landing, which was the coolest friggin' thing I've ever done. It's like you want to talk scary, like a wooden roller coaster at Whalen Park? You be at like 15,000 feet of altitude and then literally just watch the pilot just push the stick and it goes, you come lifting out of the seatbelt holding you. Me and Joe were like this, whee! And the pilots, the Air Force pilots, thought we were nuts because we're basically doing it so we don't get shot down, but we thought it was fun. Anyway, we land, and the unit we were getting embedded with was there to pick us up with Humvees to take all of our stuff. So imagine that we go climbing out of the general's plane. That's the general's plane right there. So we come down the stairs of the general's plane, and there's the major from the unit we're embedded with and all of the guys. And they start taking all of our duffel bags with all the T-shirts and the gear off the plane. Now, I'm walking with the Major McKenna, who may be watching this and still gets gray hair and agita at thinking about this story. Now, I know enough to know that when you see a group of soldiers walking towards you, the one that's not carrying anything is the one in charge. And so the group of people walking towards us were going to get on the plane that Joe and I just got off of. And the person not carrying anything was carrying a paper teacup, and it had the teabag flag flopping around from the prop blast. And there were all of these other people walking with him carrying all his stuff. Now, you will notice in these pictures that they are wearing the old uniforms, which the guys called like the coffee stain uniforms. They didn't have the digital camouflage that came later in the war. And so the old camouflage had the rank in one place on the uniform, and then the new digital ones had the camouflage in other places. So I wasn't really looking for rank. Tip number 1, look for rank. So as this group of people is walking by to get onto the plane, I see the guy carrying the teacup, it's like a paper coffee cup, and I say, "Hey dude, is that your plane? The AC's kicking in that thing." And I put my hand up to high five him. I have been on the ground in Iraq for 35 seconds or so. And he high-fived me and walked by me holding his teacup. And the major that I was with went, "You cannot high-five a 2-star general in a war zone, Carrie. You are going to get me demoted." And just as the major that I was embedded with said that, the general who had climbed up the stairs to the plane said, "Hey, you took good care of my aircraft?" And I turned around and said, "Absolutely, sir." And he goes, "Take good care of my guys." And I said, "You got it." And turned around and walked away. And the major was just, even though it was 130 something degrees, was just sweating, and the veins in his head were coming out of his head. And the general got in his plane, and the major was like, "You got to look for rank, Carrie. 1 star, 2 star, 1 star, 2 star, 1 star, 2 star." So whenever I see anybody that I met in Iraq, they always say, "Hey, Carrie, remember that time you high-fived a 2-star general in a war zone?" And then I laugh because it totally happened. I'm sorry for acting like a civilian to any of the military people, the veterans, the active military guys, anybody that's watching. It was 14 years ago. I didn't realize what the hell I was doing. I high-fived the general. And the full bird colonel that was carrying his bags, I didn't look for his rank either, but it was a full bird colonel that was carrying his briefcase. He couldn't believe it. The look was like, sorry. I did that. So there you go. So if you want to go through all of the photo galleries, there's a bunch of different albums on this Facebook page. There's one for the Boston, it's called Boston to Baghdad, which is the Iraq trip. And then there's another one that's labeled AAF to Afghanistan, and those are all the pictures from Afghanistan. And all of the descriptions are in there. All of the dates and the places we went and the units that we were with, it's all in there, so you can check everything out. I did want to give you guys one kind of, Brianna says only a civilian can pull that off. I'm sure he was amused. I'm sure he was too. I mean, I had purple hair, so it's like, seriously, I'm not blending in Iraq anytime soon. But I hope he remembers that story. I'm assuming the general is now long since retired. But I hope when he thinks about the time the purple-haired girl high-fived him in Baghdad that it makes him chuckle. Sorry. Heinz says you should write a book about your life. It would be a bestseller. People have told me to write a book before, and my argument against it has always been that I don't know how the story ends yet. Like, I think I need to know what the next chapter is going to be before I can finish the book. I don't know. Speaking of that, I wanted to give you guys some good news. So I talked to Mike Shue today. If I go too long, like 2 or 3 days without talking to him, I have to call him just to hear his voice. So after my failed attempt at getting Stiz on the Facebook Live with me last night, we figured out that it's probably not going to work. But what we do know will work is that we can go live on Instagram together. So I'm just telling you guys now that if you haven't found my Instagram page, it's instagram.com/Mistress Carrie WAAF. Keep an eye on that Instagram page, and also find Mike Shue's page, which is Mike Shue Rock, I believe, because we are going to do an Instagram live. It won't be Cocktails in the War Room. It's going to be like a bonus extra shot of something. I don't know. Mike Shue and I are going to have to come up with the name of it. But we agreed today that we're going to Instagram live it so that people can ask questions and comment and whatever. I believe we'll be able to save the video, and then I'll be able to post it up on Facebook so that you can see it after the fact. But I don't believe it saves all of the comments the way that Facebook Live does. So keep an eye on all of my social media pages, because we'll let you know when it's going to happen, but it's going to happen live on Instagram. But we'll tweet it out on this Twitter, at Mistress Carrie, and we'll post it on my Instagram and my Facebook, and Mike Shue will post it up on all of his so that you guys don't miss it. But he and I are going to do a coronavirus stay-at-home order, social distancing Instagram live where you guys can ask us questions and make comments and all that. I just don't know when it's going to be, but we're working it out right now, and maybe this weekend. We're just trying to settle on a time where both of us aren't drunk and doing nothing. I don't know. We literally are like, all right, we have to look into our schedules. And then I just started laughing, and I was like, Mike, what kind of schedule do we even have? We're not doing anything. But he's, got his daughter in school, and So we're just trying to figure it out. So just know that that's coming. So if you haven't found my Instagram, go and like my Instagram page, Instagram.com/Mistress Carrie WAF, and we will let you know when that's going to happen. So there you go. You just lost your sound. Anybody else? Oh God. First it was the sound, then it's the focus. What the hell is going on? Yes, Mike Shu's Instagram is Mike Shu Rock. There you go. All right, guys. I just spilled vodka on my sweatpants. Thank you guys for coming and hanging out with me every night. I hope you guys had a good day today. Stay strong, everybody. I know it's hard some days. Stay positive. Lean on people when you need to. Ask for help if you need it. Volunteer where you can. Make an appointment to donate blood if you're able. Let people know that you need them or that you miss them and that you love them, and reach out and just connect with people. Oh, Eric, thank you. Are you guys ready? We got to take our selfie tonight. Are you ready? Get your other camera ready. Here we go. Got to get selfie ready. Okay, ready? 1, 2, 3. Okay, send me the selfies. At Mistress Carrie on Twitter. Tag me on Instagram, Mistress Carrie WAF. Hashtag it, Cocktails in the War Room. Invite your friends to come and say hi to us. And I'll see you guys tomorrow night. I love you. Stay safe. Keep your heads up. Don't look anything strange. Wash your damn hands. See you guys tomorrow.